We recently did a video about how to buy your first pair of roller skates. So I thought that I would do the same thing and go and buy some skates. So let's have a look at what I got and why. Oh, there they are. So I got the Candy Girl Carlins. I just have to put in that I did pay for these with my own money, sadly. This video isn't sponsored, but you never know, one day. So exciting. Oh, there they are. Ooh. This is really unusual for me to actually have a skate that's a colour because artistic skates tend to be white. So for me to have a pretty blue skate is really cool. So I traded off the adjustable toe stop. So this is a bolt-on toe stop, but it meant that I got the suede upper. For me, I feel that a beginner is going to persevere to learn to roller skate if their foot is comfortable. So a suede boot over time will give and mould to your foot and feel much more comfortable than a vinyl, because a vinyl is, at the end of the day, a form of plastic. They've got this nice cuff and this low cut. If anyone's noticed my skates, I've actually custom cut down my backs of my skates. So these are actually done. So I'd be very interested to see how they feel. These have got a nice metal alloy plate, and most importantly, the trucks are metal. I'm going to be interested to see how these cushions feel. Some skates come with quite a hard stock cushion, so I might end up changing those to a softer cushion, but I'm going to give them a try first. So I've got my new skates out, and obviously I want to try them on. But before I do that, I'm just going to look them over, make sure the wheels are rolling, a couple of safety things. Let's have a look. So let's see, does the wheel move up and down the axle? No. It's kind of rolling. Up and down, no. And it is rolling freely. Up and down, rolling freely. So because these are a stock bearing, what happens when you buy a beginner skate is a stock bearing tends to have quite a thick lubricant in there. Yeah. So these are made for longevity, not for speed. Just changing it out to a very cheap bearing, it hasn't got to be bones or anything flashy, you'll actually notice quite a difference. Bearings are a whole subject on their own, and I've done a video on that which will help you through the minefield of bearings. These all feel pretty good and they're freely rolling. Right, so the next thing I'm going to want to adjust is my trucks, but I can't do that until I've got them on my foot and actually put my weight in the skate to feel how they are already. I need to just debunk a very common myth. Your skates very often will wobble on a flat surface. You see, like this wheel on the inside and this wheel on the outside isn't touching. You know how like a table rocks? It's essentially doing the same thing. Doesn't matter at all. I guarantee when I get my weight on this and the cushions and everything squashed down, all four wheels will contact the floor without a problem. Now, there are very rare occasions when you don't get full contact. And at that point, what you need to do is to have a look at the bottom of your skate, because the chances are that one of the cushions, the coloured bits, isn't sitting in the metal cushion cup correctly. So all you need to do is to just undo this nut, take everything off and put everything back on again and make sure it's really solid, and then it should be absolutely fine. Sometimes you'll put your foot in the skate and immediately you'll be like, this is definitely too small, it's really small. Don't panic until you've laced them up. When you lace them up, what happens is this lacing across here, this midfoot, will pull your foot back into the heel and away from the end of the boot. And sometimes that's just enough to make it feel that little bit more comfortable. Obviously, I'm going to need to relace these because these are not laced correctly. There are loads of different ways to lace. So if you find that you get a new skate and it's starting to rub, you can actually adjust your lacing to make it more comfortable. The way I lace actually takes the tension away from the foot. A lot of people will go inside to outside, but when you do that, you're actually putting pressure on your foot. So the way I do it is over the top of the boot, inwards. Now, when you do that, what you're doing is you're actually pulling the boot together and you're putting the tension on this bit. So it should hopefully cause less pressure on your foot. Now, I like to be a bit, lace them nicely. So I tend to do the inside to outside lace on top, just because it's pretty. Once you get to this section, you need to make sure that you go through the loop on the tongue. If you find that when you skate the tongue starts to slip or move side to side, a good tip is to actually put it through higher. So if it's falling down, you can actually put it through when you go around the hooks, and that will lift it up. And that also helps if you've got anything kind of hurting you down here. It again puts tension on this tongue and will lift it up, which sometimes you need to do. At the moment, I'm just going to lace it as I normally would, through here. Now you notice that I've kept the laces all nice and smooth and flat, and that will again help with the comfort of your skate. A really important thing to do is to remember to take your tools with you on your first skate, because no doubt you're going to need to make lots of adjustments. Let's put them on. They're going on. So I'm going to pull the tongue up, make sure there's no creases down in this foot area. Now, I'm not wearing socks, but I have cast iron feet from years and years of skating. 100% wear a sock. A really good thing to do with your socks is to wear them inside out, so the seam on the toe doesn't dig into your foot. And also wear a pair long enough. Once you've laced the boot, you can fold it down, and that should hopefully stop the ankle rubbing you too much. I'm not going to go massively tight in the toe box area, because if I do, my toes tend to go numb. And then this bit is what's going to lock your heel in. New boots around the ankle are always going to feel quite stiff, so if I pull this really tight and then get up to skate, it's just going to feel like I've got a cast on my leg. So I'm going to give myself a bit of flex here, so I'm not going to go really tight. Bit of tension, but not tight. I need to be able to flex. So my ankle is fully back. I'm just going to flex it ever so slightly forward, so I've got a little bit of movement. There we go. Right, let's go. Okay. And straight away I can feel that the plate is in a different location to my normal skates, which feels like I'm slightly more likely to tip back. So I'm going to counteract that by just leaning a bit further forwards. Gosh, the trucks are actually incredibly loose. Wow, okay. So the trucks on these are crazy loose. Look at the movement I've got in this. Now, I like my trucks really loose because I'm an experienced skater. However, as a beginner, I feel like potentially going to break your neck. It's so loose. So I'm going to tighten them up to an area where I think's about right for a beginner skater. So I am going to go, they're really loose, so I'm going to go a couple of good turns on that. So that's 4. So let's see how that goes. So I've tightened them all up, and a bit of a trick to make sure they're all even is to count the number of kingpin threads that are showing below the nut. So I've done about 3 on all of the trucks. So my trucks are a better level now. What has surprised me with these is that they are actually still quite loose, even though I've tightened them up quite a bit. If you are finding a problem, you can always go to a harder cushion. Whenever I get new skates or change anything, it's always a good idea to re-muscle memory where my toe stops are. Now the toe stops on these feel really high, and I know that I sacrificed the adjustable toe stop for the suede boot, but they're absolutely fine to learn in, no problem whatsoever. There we go. And I have to also bear in mind that these wheels are super grippy, so they're more suited for outside, but they're 83A, so they're absolutely fine if you want to learn indoors in these. You absolutely can, because a bit of grip's quite nice when you're learning. Makes you feel a bit more in control. They're actually really nice skates. So what will happen, and I'm actually finding it already, is as you skate round and they warm up, they'll start to feel baggy. This is because the suede's warming up, the laces are stretching, so I'm probably going to have to stop and relace 3 or 4 times during my first session as everything starts to mould and give and stretch and bend. But that is a good thing. It means they're breaking in and moulding to your foot. Do you know what? These are a great skate. I'm really impressed. I've just tightened them up, and I can already see and feel how this suede is starting to pull in and moulding to my foot. I'm having a really good time skating in these, and I hope some of the tips in this video will help you get to grips with your new skates. I'm Katie, you've been watching Skatie, and I'll see you next time. Bye!